Alright, in this video we're going to be replacing the rear brakes on a 2019 Kia Sedona. So I believe it applies to 2016 all the way up to 2019 Kia Sedona. So if you have one of those, this video is the guide to help you replace your rear brakes. Alright, so let's get started. These are 21mm lug nuts. Alright, as soon as you see a pattern like this, then you automatically know that the brake pads are finished. And the noise it was making was like a growling, thundering noise. So this side was due. The other side wasn't too bad, so let's get started. Alright, let's start by removing the caliper. So these are 14mm. Okay, now you can remove the caliper. Alright, so what I like to do first is compress the caliper piston, just in case that if it's seized, then there's no point of continuing the brake job. So we were going to have to order a caliper if it's seized, so do that right away. Okay, this one compressed nice and easy. Okay, so we can put it aside now. Alright, now we're going to take off the caliper bracket bolts. So there's one here, and then there's one behind this arm over here. So we're going to need to move this arm to access that bolt. So we'll crack the first one loose. Now we're going to go ahead and remove this arm. So it's a 19mm nut and bolt. Okay, put the nut and the bolt back together. Alright, now we're gonna just tap this arm down. Okay. And now we have access to the second bracket bolt. So it's this guy down here. Now the bracket should be free. So there you go. So the outer one was the one that's finished. To remove the pads, you use the special tool. Okay, we're going to remove the shims as well. Okay, now this is the best part of the brake job. We're going to go ahead and clean all this rust on the bracket with a wire brush. We're going to grease it, put on the new shims, and put on the new pads, as well as re-grease the guide pins. Alright, so I'll take you guys back when it's all done. Alright, so it should look like this. Make sure you get all the chunks of rust out. So like that, when we go to put on the new pads, they're going to sit correctly. You shouldn't have to force them in. Alright, the brake pads and bracket are all ready to go. So new shims with the new pads. New pads should just sit in and they should be moving freely. If you find that you have to force them, you have to go back and clean the caliper bracket where they sit. Alright, so make sure the screamer is on the top. That's the opposite of what you're supposed to do. Usually the screamer is on the bottom, so that when the rotor spins, it's going to bend the screamer inwards. But in the case of this car, if you have the screamer on the bottom, it's going to hit the bracket and your pads are going to sit tilted. So yeah, the only way to fix this is you put the screamer on the top. And that's what the old brake pad had anyway. So the old brake pad from the manufacturer had the screamer on top here, which is just opposite of every other car. So make sure the screamer's on top to avoid that problem. Okay, now we're going to set them aside and then we're going to attack the rotor. So to remove the rotor, there's two Phillips head screws holding them on. I suggest to use a Phillips 3. If you try to use a Phillips 2, you might end up stripping it. So the best way to remove these is a Phillips 3. These don't even look like they were tight, so. All right, so these are out. Okay, the rotor's stuck, so we're gonna hammer it. Okay, rotor's free. All right, so depending on the mileage that you have when doing this brake job, you might have to adjust the handbrake. This car is doing this brake job prematurely at 20,000 kilometers. So we won't have to adjust the star wheel too much. But if in the case that you have a lot of mileage, the shoes might be pushed out and they'll be grabbing the rotor. So we're gonna have to bring the shoes back in with the star wheel up here. So if you find that your rotor is not going back in, just push it downward like this. Push the star wheel downward. And it's gonna make the two shoes here, well, it's actually one big shoe. It's gonna make the shoes compress inwards, and then you'll have space to put the rotor on. So as you can see, this one is already at the max adjustment, since it's only has 20,000 kilometers. All right, now we could just put a bit of anti-seize. That's gonna help with removing the wheel. All right, so always compare your new rotor with the old one to make sure you have the right parts. So line up the holes where the Phillips head were. Now there's one more thing we have to do for this rotor, is just transfer the rubber here. This rubber is to access the star wheel. Like I said before, if you have trouble removing the rotor, you're gonna have to access the star wheel from here. So we're gonna take it off the old rotor. Okay, there you go. All right, now we're gonna put the bracket back on. Line up the holes. So I'll start them by hand first. Okay, now we could zip them in. Okay, now we're gonna tighten them with the ratchet. You don't need to go crazy tight on these. They're still a small bolt, so just go hand tight. There's one. And two. All right, now we're gonna line up the arm. So line it up as close as you can. Just try to start the bolt. Okay, there you go. So if you have trouble lining this up, you could always pull on the knuckle just a bit, and then it's gonna give you the right angle to put the bolt back on. I got lucky this time, it went right in. Now we could put the nut back on. Okay, that's it. Okay, we're just gonna put just a bit of anti-seize on the back of the pads here. Now we could put back the caliper. We're just gonna go snug and then hand tight. All right, make sure everything's tight. It's normal that it rocks back and forth because the piston hasn't sat on the pads yet. All right, now we're gonna put back the wheel. All right, that's it, we're all done. So just make sure to pump the brake pedal a few times before you go on a test drive. And that's gonna be it. It's gonna be the same thing for the other side. All right, guys, that's it for this video. Hope you find this video helpful. Hope you find it valuable. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.